First of all, we're going to go through the operating real quick. We really had made all the decisions when we talked the first time, then we talked last time. So this is meeting number 4. And then we'll talk very briefly on capital. And then anything new that the mayor or Rhonda has for us. And then I've been asked if we could review revenue projections and you know, how could we potentially do revenue for this year, because we need a revenue stream. I think a lot of it, if you looked at the information that the mayor passed out, which also was then in Cleveland, it was in the Plain Dealer. On the front page, I believe, Mayor, about the taxes and the reduction.
The local government fund.
$500,000 for us and $22 million for Cleveland. We loved it. So there's a lot of, you know, caseage in that. And the Senate really did an interesting dichotomy to want to help, but we need the money. So we're going to talk about that also. So we'll first start out with operating.
Just make a point here, please. I asked for the breakout of the certificate of estimated resources,
which was in that
under other transfers in, and she provided that to us. I found a couple of areas that are in question. If you want to handle that later, fine. Or if I handle it now, fine. But I did find a couple of things.
Are they in addition to what you put into writing to us already?
Yes, she didn't send this to us until, I didn't have a chance to actually go through this until I saw her response
Yes,
to
it was in the email.
what are the details.
See if we did.
Today.
Yes, so I wasn't able to respond until I actually saw them. That was included in the email today. And it's a couple of areas only.
Okay, ask them real quick then, because we're...
Okay, so it appears that the Sagamore Hills dispatch contract was repeated as of last year, but this year it's supposed to go to 76,141.
Can you tell us what
Okay,
you're referring to?
this is the attachment that she provided on her email concerning
Okay.
the detailed
have a
breakdown.
That's the transfers in, I s- right here.
It's part of other. It's the other,
Okay.
the 2 million
It's the
one.
details behind
Okay.
that number.
Okay.
Okay? And I did see that you, would you like to just stop?
Kevin, see all this that you were just handed?
See this one?
It's the last
Okay,
page.
okay.
The last page.
Of the staple copy.
Yeah, it says 57.
Keep going.
It has teeny tiny print, but I was able to see it.
Okay.
And the other,
What is the question on the table about the Sagamore?
Well, she just showed me that there's a contract, I guess, that where it increases from 57,000 to 76,000.
For
yes,
this year?
Yes.
yes. That was signed last July. in
So we
the-
can make that 76.
Right.
So it gives us a couple more bucks.
Okay.
Not enough.
Also, there were, and I tried to find this, and I couldn't, in your list, you had the local government sales tax fund, which is $31,577, but I didn't see the local government reimbursement $177,380.55. Is that someplace else? What is that?
And what is that for?
That's local government funds that you're given annually, and that would be on that. If you go down there, it's right below the sales tax at the top, pretty far. I'll try to mark it if you can't find it.
What was it last year?
100.
177.
No, what was the account number?
Yes,
What was the account number last year? So, yeah. What was the account number last year?
Okay, the account number last year I gave it to her.
Yeah, so it's
4210.
4211. I have to look at my detail to see if I included that.
It did not appear to be the case, just following down the track.
And that was from what?
That's, I just showed her what.
Last year.
From last year, that was
Yeah, but
20.
what was it
It's
called?
local government, right,
Yeah, which,
I'm not sure.
it's right here, Jan, it's.
Registration, or, I'm not sure what that's for.
Yeah, it's basically They used to give us 300 and some thousand, and now they give us 177 something, that's all.
Well, we gotta double check to see if that number's still the same, because that may be
Okay.
one of those that is
No, this,
dwindling down, because it's local government, and does it come from the state?
Yes.
yes, it has been this number, around this number. They did do a big whack when paper came in, but they haven't
Yeah,
really
okay.
done anything else since then. This has been pretty consistent over the last
Okay.
3 years, so I think that maybe that just got missed.
Could be, yeah.
And I had one other question, and I don't know the answer to it, but I was looking at the number for the mayor's court, and I couldn't find it in the revenue stream quickly. I saw we did have some here, but it didn't add up to the number that you had, so I was wondering where all that came from.
I'm pretty sure, like, I looked at last year's and so added up a bunch of line items.
Okay, well, you may have added up more line items than are here in this particular report. So I just thought I would ask that question, since I couldn't, when I added it up, it didn't add up to that number.
So just to recap on those first two numbers, that would go into the column where it's 2.128 right now, could be an additional 253?
Yes,
Potentially.
correct, you're right, Kevin. So that was,
But we need to check on local government fund, because it's been, from the years 2010 to 13, it went
You know what, I
down.
take it, it's not
You know, it went down by
253.
46%.
It's 76
so-
minus 57, whatever that number is, because you already
right,
had
right,
it
it's
at
about
57.
20,000
So it's
more.
20,000, so.
But we can't-
19,000 to be exact.
Yeah, so you
Yeah,
got,
we can't count on the local government fund until
Gotcha.
we validate what the real number is, because it has gone down
It's-
every.
so at least, we know we're at least probably gonna be up
So,
19.
It's
yeah,
been
it's gone
consistent.
down by 46%. That's one of those that was impacted on the statement that the mayor gave to us.
Yes, I'm aware
It
of
was in the
that.
paper.
I understand it was in the paper, but this has been consistent over the last 3 years.
I would check.
Yep.
So how much do we add?
We're adding, right now, we're adding 19,000.
So it comes out to 2,147,000.
Yeah, and I believe that you will find that you should be adding the additional 100 in.
And which line is that? That's back on
That's on the certificate.
That's on the
the
certificate.
last page.
Mhm.
So one from 2,128 to 2,147.
Right.
And it potentially should go to about 177,000 more, which I believe it will.
If we have the local, whatever the local is.
Right.
Okay.
I'll check on that.
We're not talking a fund of $1 million.
No, it's not a
Dang.
million, but 200,000 is
Yeah.
Right,
makes us
and if
wise.
we get rid of the
Fine.
95 from 201 or 202, whatever it is.
Yes, we can get rid of the
Not
95.
yet, not
You can
yet.
check
Why
that.
not? What
Well,
is the
we're waiting
issue
for
there?
ODOT's comment.
Okay. So you
There.
will check the local fund to see
Well-
what they're going to give us this year.
Right.
Alright, so we're gonna check on 177.
Okay. Moving right along then, let's talk operating. There are two pieces of legislation on tonight's agenda for Robert Raddick. I said his name wrong, my apologies.
Raddick.
Rachel
Raddick.
Gambatese.
Right,
Those two, Mayor, are replacements
correct.
that were already placed.
Rachel is replacing Andrea, and Bob Rodick is replacing Mike Lynn.
Okay,
Are they budget neutral then?
Correct,
so they are coming in at a lower rate, true?
correct.
A little bit, yeah.
Okay.
Does that adjust?
And are they coming,
No, not yet.
were they both full-time before?
Both full-time before, and I'm still working out, I mean, we're likely gonna have, Bob's got, he's gonna step in as a part-time immediately, and then we'll see how that's gonna work into a full-time.
Okay, so are both of them full-time, or Bob is gonna be part-time?
Bob's going to step in immediately to help us get through this interim period. And my hopes is that I'll eventually get him into the full-time slot.
But he's gonna start part-time with a potential full-time, but the
Right.
dollars we spent last year, were those two full-time?
Correct.
Okay, so we actually have a little bit of savings for that. When
Apparently
you
not.
put him in the budget though, did you put him in as part-time or
No,
full-time?
We put him in at full-time
Right.
at this time because we didn't know what the outcome's going to be, so we have it in as full-time.
Okay,
Yeah, well,
For sure, the replacement of Andrea is certainly going to be equal to that. And then the only issue we have, and we know it's not going to be as much, by the way, it's gonna be for sure about $15,000 or so less if it were to be the full-time.
Okay.
Then I'm not understanding that because we actually increased the salary wages line in, as I indicated in that email.
Right.
And so if this is budget neutral or going to be less, I'm not following how we end up with the numbers that we have in the building department, which the 2016 appropriation was 275, 391, whatever, 500. And then the actual for 2015 was 244, 740, 48. So it sounds like it's not budget neutral. So what is creating the $31,000 difference?
Well, you had Janelle as the zoning inspector.
Okay.
So we had the building commissioner, the assistant building commissioner, 2 administrative staff, and now we have a zoning inspector as well.
So what we're doing is we're increasing the cost of the building department by.
But that was
31,000.
increased before Mike left, you know, that was with Mike included in that. So, yeah.
Well, I don't understand what that means. I mean, we had a building department, which cost us X amount last year through December, and it was 244, 740, and now it's 275, 500. So that's not budget neutral. So you're saying that we're hiring additional people, or that?
No, we're not hiring
expensive?
additional, we're actually,
Well,
Because did Dennis do the zoning last year?
Dennis did the zoning, and
So now
Dennis
you have
is,
a zoning inspector, and Dennis is coming on part-time.
so,
I'm gonna say this to you, that department's probably gonna run much less than the way it is currently, and I don't have the exact number yet because I don't know how I'm gonna fit Rodick in, but I'll say this, it's probably gonna run quite a bit less, because first of all, we're bringing in Janelle at a much less rate than what was being paid to Dennis.
yes, I am
Dennis
aware
is
of
gonna
that.
come back as a part-time person.
So
I think that,
And you have the 32,500 for the retainer for the engineer. in that
yeah, the
department.
32,000 is for the retainer of the engineer, which was
Right.
not in there before.
Right, well, it seems to be adding up to a higher bottom line, that's all I'm saying. And if you look at every one of the fee areas and what they're inspecting, everything is down from the previous years. The trend is going down, I expect, because we're almost built up, as you had pointed out in that Charter Review Commission. So I'm kind of, if
And that's one of the reasons that I'm contemplating this more on a part-time basis at this time,
Mhm.
but I can't assure you of that until I know where I'm going with it. But for the sake of being budget neutral, it certainly is that, because we're not increasing anybody. The only part of that which is increasing is obviously the cost of the increase of wages, which is included in that number, and the $32,000 for the engineer retainer. So that kind of balances that number back to where it should be.
I'm trying to follow why that is. So I mean, why is it balancing anything? The bottom line number in this is higher than
This was
before.
244 versus 275.
Yeah, I know, that's just salaries and wages. If we
But
go
you
down-
take the 32,000 and add to the 244, what do you come up with? 276.
I get that, I understand that. I'm just saying, it's not budget neutral if you add $31,000. That's all I'm saying.
Well, you have an engineer, you gotta pay him.
Well, I know, but we were
Well,
paying the
I'm putting
engineer, we
them-
paid the
we're paying
engineer
them on
last year
retainer.
too.
We're paying him on a retainer, so we're putting it in there. I mean, I don't understand.
Well, they
I don't
paid,
understand.
they paid him last year too. We did allocate funds for them. It's
We
not
paid him under, not part of payroll.
I understand,
Salary.
I know we did, I understand we did. The bottom
So
line.
it's not budget neutral because it does not come up to zero, but if we look at our budget every year, these line items have gone up because of pay increases, salary, as well as pension, and we've made some changes under the new administration, but we're not bringing in exasperating a dollar amount in any
Well,
given
I think it's because we hired,